Everyone, it's Charlene Lee, and today I'm going to be talking about limiting beliefs. This is something that I really have done a lot of work on, wrote about it a lot in my last book, The Disruption Mindset, because if you want to create a disruptive culture, you have to change your culture, and you change culture by looking at your beliefs and their behaviors. And really, I've been working with a lot of organizations, a lot of clients on identifying the limiting beliefs that people carry. And what has been fascinating to me is how common these beliefs are, how there's a commonality around them, and it doesn't matter which organization I go into. There are certain ones that rise up and are more important than others in these categories, but they're common across almost every single organization. Now, larger organizations may be more likely to have ones that are much more in line with a legacy or more entrenched large organizations, and entrepreneurial, smaller, fast moving companies have different beliefs. But there are some commonalities, and I wanted to share with them. So I shared in some of the promotions that I recently had the honor of presenting to a group of people of leaders, entrepreneurs, founders at Tony Robbins. And I love that stage. It's the second time I've been able to do it. And it's this energy that people have, and they're there to literally conquer the world. And Tony does such an amazing job in giving people that confidence to really tell them they can go out and do this. And it struck me some of the comments that people had, that even though people want to go out and do this, we still all have these limiting beliefs. We all have them. And so being aware of what your limiting beliefs are, and very importantly, understanding what the limiting beliefs are of the other people in your organization is really an important thing to do. So what I'd love for you to do today is, well, it's time to be vulnerable. First of all, share where you're coming from. Please say hello. And then also, please share what is a limiting belief that you have. What are the things that you say? What are the limiting beliefs of your organization? And I can understand that you may not want to associate that with yourself or your company, but think about this even for yourselves, and think about how you could actually surface some of these things. So the exercise I often do is to get a team together, a group of leaders. It could be 10 people, it could be 300 people. We've done it this way, where we ask people, what are the beliefs that are holding you back? And I've done this like hundreds of times, and I'll show you just to give you an idea what it looks like. So this is just one time I did it with an organization. It's a screenshot of a tool that I use called Mentimeter. So this is great if your team is distributed, or you're doing this with a group of people, maybe a set of customers or clients, but even just with your team. But you can ask us this question: what organization, what beliefs do you have are holding us back? What are the things we say to ourselves? And it's so interesting to surface this. And Mentimeter is a great tool, or some electronic tool like this, where it's open-ended, it's anonymous. But another way to do that is to take a stack of Post-it notes if you're sitting around a table, and just write a limiting belief on each one as quickly as you can, just silently and individually. And then put them all onto the middle of the table and look at them and start grouping them together and saying, what do these beliefs have in common? And then look at them and say, which of these beliefs do we no longer want to hang on to? Which of these things really we don't want to be saying anymore? And the power of this exercise is to agree all together as a team that we are no longer going to ascribe to these beliefs. This belief of fear of failure, of having to be in control, that we don't have enough time, people, resources. We're not going to believe that anymore. We're not going to behave in that way anymore. And instead, you replace it with new beliefs that say just the opposite, that will inspire and support new behaviors. And the key here is that you have to all agree, and also agree that if you ever catch each other espousing, again, saying those old beliefs or acting in a way that supports those old beliefs, we catch each other, go, no, 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 remember? We said we're not going to believe and act in that old way because it's holding us back. We agree that we're going to act in this new way that's going to move us forward. Because every time, anytime, those old beliefs have the ability to breathe, to get a little bit of nurturing, to be fed, they will continue living on. They will continue to fester, and this wound will never heal. So make a list. Decide with your team, what are these limiting beliefs? And really decide that we're not going to do this anymore. And I'll give you an example in just a second. That's a bunch of comments here, so I want to go and catch them up. So um, let's see. We have Stephen here, and Stephen says, one of my beliefs is that holding back is that I used to have a muse and I lost her. Oh, Stephen, that's so sweet. Again, the thing here is, are we inspired by just one person or an idea, or can we hang on to that? It was something that they inspired in us, and we can keep going from that. So, Stephen, I hope you find that muse that's inside of you, that you'll continue to find that inspiration, but also from so many other sources around us too. Marissa says, this is a limiting belief. We are not doing enough. You could always be doing more. Thank you so much, Marissa, for saying that. But this is my limiting belief that I am, and I feel like, oh, but there's got to be more we could do, because I am, frankly, a maximizer, somebody who says, oh, we could always do more, and it really gets into trouble because then I'm not prioritizing. And so that's a great thing. We could always be doing more. We're not doing enough. Thank you for saying that. And Stephen says, when people say everything that has been thought of could have been thought of, and have been through those types, I don't like being around those people who say, okay, we figured out everything. We're going to talk about that belief, Stephen, in particular, that that it's all been done already, or we've already figured out. We can't possibly change. And let's see, Marissa, also as a build on that, is it better to do one thing well or multiple things moderately? That's a great question. Do we pursue excellence in one area, put all of our eggs in one basket, or do we spread it thin and spread it like peanut butter, maybe so thin that we never get any traction? So I think one of the things that we're seeing here is that one of the things that's so beautiful about all of these limiting beliefs is that when you identify them and really focus on them, you really start to understand what are the issues. So I'll give you an example of a limiting belief that one organization had. And that was this whole idea of respect. It was one of their core values. So respect was something that their founder had said, that we really want to have a lot of respect for each other, our ideas, because ideas can come from anywhere. But over time, over the decades, respect changed and morphed to being, we have to have respect for each other. And the most senior person in the room needs to get the most respect. And so if you disagree with that most senior person in the room, you can't just outright just say you disagree. You have to go out of the room, out of the meeting, and go and find them and have a conversation with them, maybe talk to a couple of their lieutenants and make sure this is going to be, and it just gunked up all of their works. They got so bogged down in process, and nobody felt comfortable speaking their minds. It was the exact opposite of what respect originally meant for them. And so this became a limiting belief. And so the organization realized that this was not serving them anymore. So they actively went out and dug out from the archives videos and audios and writings of the founder talking about respect, going back into the history, looking for stories that could illuminate the original idea and intent, and then use that as a foundation to train new behaviors of their leaders, primarily that they would speak a lot less in meetings and encourage other people to speak their minds. Because frankly, people did not feel comfortable and safe doing this. So creating this space for psychological safety that, yes, I am respecting the fact that you have an opinion. We would really value it. Please contribute and tell me what you really think about this idea, the way we're heading, how we were doing. So over the course of a year, they systematically changed this belief of respect from the one that was holding them back to the original intent in a way that would move them forward. So I think one of the key things here is that limiting beliefs are not necessarily going all the way back into your vision, your belief, your values. Those are things that are very much intact. It's all the unsaid things in your culture, the things that we say to ourselves, the things that we think to ourselves that are holding us back. So, one of the things I'd like to do is just go through and share some of the limiting beliefs that I've collected. And so, let me just go into this slide. I'm going to expand it so you can really see it. Uh, and okay, let's see. So you can see all this. So I put it into I think 6 different categories. I can't even count it. 6 different categories of these beliefs. I went through the many different times I've done this. I've done this about 100 times now. And just collated all the different things, put them into these categories, and picked a few choice examples of these limiting beliefs. And the one that kept coming up in every single one of the sessions I've done is some sort of fear of setting the wrong priorities, of being judged, not getting it right, of letting others down, that you're going to be misunderstood, that you have to get it right. There was a tremendous fear of failure. And what happens if you fail? That you're going to lose your job, that the company could be really hurt. There's a sense of getting in trouble and getting fired. And again, just fear that if something goes wrong, we're never going to recover from this, or I'm never going to recover from this. So, overall fear of failure, of reputation, of loss is one of the biggest limiting fears and limiting beliefs that I found consistently across every single organization that I talked about, which is why I wanted to put it first. And what's so interesting about this particular fear is that you have to actually go to the root of that fear. So what's the underlying root of the fear of failure? Well, is it the fact that the company is going to fail or that I'm going to fail? Because it's one thing for the company to fail. If you fail in this project, the company will probably survive. But will I survive? Will that, even though I put my best efforts in, will that be recognized? So will I make and take a risk if I'm going to suffer, and the benefits aren't going to be there? Organizations that have a really good relationship with failure really put the onus of failure on the project, not on the people. Because you can do your best effort, but the project just may have been doomed to fail. And sometimes projects are designed to figure out where the failure points are. We're going to keep pushing and pushing the limits until we fail, because that will teach us so much. Versus saying the only way we're going to succeed, the definition of success is 100% success, 100% achievement of all goals, and that anything less than that is not going to be acceptable. Who would set off on that journey? Who would want to take on that challenge? Not very many people. So these underlying beliefs usually come with some sort of expectation of what the definition of success is. So when the fear comes along, if you want to change it, they have to get down to the underlying fear of what behaviors are driving that limiting belief. And then I start identifying those actions that we're taking. When somebody comes and gives you bad news and says, something's not working, I need help, are they punished or are they rewarded for that? So those are the behaviors and the limiting beliefs around fear in particular. So I want to go on and just go through these very quickly, and then we'll come back to the comments. So fear is the first one that I want to talk about. The other one is this whole idea of just being stuck. This is especially an issue for larger organizations, more complex organizations. There's a sense, and Stephen and other people were talking about this before too, as well, that we're stuck in the way that things have always been done, that it's worked in the past, so it should work in the future, right? I remember working with this one organization. I said, like, have you tried this? Well, yeah, we thought about it, but it didn't work in the past. And what we're doing right now seems to be working. 80% of our clients are coming from big organizations. We're just going to focus on these big organizations and never think about new clients. So, needing excessive levels of permission, huge amounts of bureaucracy, of hierarchies, legacy behaviors. I love this one. Mediocrity is acceptable. So mediocrity is acceptable. And I hear from organizations frequently, there's a belief that as long as you keep things clean, as long as you don't make any major mistakes, as long as you keep your nose down and do your job, you're just going to get continuously promoted over the next 25 years. So don't rock the boat. This is the way things are done around here. mediocrity is actually a really good thing. Don't be too good and don't be too bad. Just do the job. Um, this is another one. We have to have all the answers before anything can be done. There's lots of red tape. Again, 100% sure that things are right. There's lots of regulatory restrictions. We're doing fine. We don't have to change. I love this one. It's not my pay grade. It's not my problem. Somebody else's problem. I don't want to have to deal with that. This is just above my pay grade, so I'm not going to deal with that. So these are very common beliefs that I hear. Again, not only at the largest organizations, but even some smaller ones. But they have been doing things for a long time. They've had family-owned businesses. My grandfather won't let me do this. Our family's always done this. It's a tradition. We can't change that. So lots of examples around just being stuck. All right. The other thing I would say is around team, and in particular, your how you view your team. So there's a lot of things around being siloed. That people are in different teams. They're not working with each other. They can't get along. There's politics. There's a lack of accountability and sense of ownership. I hear that very, very frequently. Or that people are slow to change. People don't want to change, and in many ways, I like that belief there is you're not giving enough credit to people who can say, oh, they can change. Have they been given the opportunity? Have they been given the right motivation and encouragement, that safety to change and to fail? The other thing that I've heard from some people is that I can't tell my team what's really going on because they couldn't handle it. It's just too hard. It's not, they're not going to be capable of it. And you're not giving them the benefit of the doubt. They haven't been tested in this way. So do you have the confidence that they can do this or not? There's not enough right people. You can't find, I mean, again, team goes on and on about just the core group of people. Do you believe that they're capable of rising up to the occasion and taking on these challenges? Similarly, resources is a big challenge I hear from people. We just don't have enough time, people, money, suppliers. People are stretched too thin. We have change fatigue. We're too small to compete against the big people. We don't have enough money, enough time. We don't have enough cash with the resources to be innovative, or we have to focus on short-term profits and not long-term gains. And then the last two are around leadership. Control comes up surprisingly a lot. There's a false assumption that accountability is someplace else, or the leader says, I need to be the one who makes all the decisions. Because if I don't, things are not going to work out. I'm going to be held accountable and holding the bag if other people are messing up. I need control, especially in the face of uncertainty. I don't trust other people. The partner always has to be right. Like they have to have control. And then I can't delegate and trust my team. So the sense of control that is absolutely needed, either by you or your belief that other people need to have control, becomes a limiting belief because it then takes responsibility away, the ability to have ownership and spread that across an organization, that people are capable of ownership, of understanding and acting like an owner in terms of taking on the responsibility. And the last area is around confidence. This is, again, a thing that I hear from leaders. What if people don't follow me? What if they don't like me? There are so many choices. I'm destined to fail. I don't have confidence in myself. I don't feel like an expert. I don't think I have what it takes. I hear this frequently also. I hear that I'm too old. Or I don't hear very frequently I'm too young, but I frequently hear from people, I'm too old to do this anymore. My best days are behind me. So these are all limiting beliefs that really hold us back. And so I find this fascinating because when it comes down to our limiting beliefs, we are held back, we are defined by them. And so being really clear about what your limiting beliefs are, what the limiting beliefs of your organization, your team are, and identifying what they are and systematically, intentionally, strategically identifying them and agreeing and aligning your leadership and your team, the fact that these beliefs no longer serve us, we're not going to believe in them anymore. We're not going to behave in this way anymore. We're going to go in this direction instead. So many comments here. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got here. Jay, Perfectionism. The hallmark of McKinsey has allowed them to transcend ethics and values. Lots of information around McKinsey right now, new book, lots of exposés around there. I have a lot of really good friends there who work there too. And it's really hard for people who so believe in an organization, but that perfectionism, that goal of trying to achieve this level of action, but also I think of sometimes the hubris to say that, can we actually take this on? So that could be a limiting belief. Marissa is commenting that so many of these stuck commonalities are familiar in the work that I'm working to overcome. So Marissa, I'm glad that resonated with you. If nothing else, folks, if that list of limiting beliefs, I hope it gives you some comfort that you are not alone in doing this work. This is hard work. Other people are doing it, and you can see a lot of results that come across. So Lynn has this comment: your advice about going for BHAGs earlier this year, needing to break through the experience malaise. If you're not creating value, you're detracting from value in both customer and employee experience, two-way streets in all cases. So thank you so much, Lynn, for sharing that. Again, if you're not creating value, we're detracting from value. That's a great belief. Let's see what else we have here. Let's see. We have this. We have fear could be a great motivator that keeps us alive to move from that discomfortable place to achieving greatness. Although Timela Lane, I'm almost getting it right. I've been practicing. Thank you for that great comment. And let's see. We have just again, Stephen, thank you. Don't worry about making too many comments. Always great to have your conversation in here too as well. So one of the things I want to end up on was just to share with you how one organization was doing this. This is a very large organization, global company, billions in revenues and profits, hundreds of thousands of people. And they wanted to go through a culture transformation. And one of the things they did was really identify what these limiting beliefs were as an executive team. And then they did the same exercise with their teams, and they wrote manifestos to talk about what their new beliefs were going to be. And something that they were thinking was going to take them months and quarters and possibly years to transform, they did literally in weeks. And what was so fascinating about this is that the leaders took it upon themselves to change just one thing, one behavior that they were going to change. They were going to show up differently to demonstrate that these old beliefs no longer had a place. And they committed themselves to just doing one thing differently that would change that belief and emphasize a new belief. And because they did this so consistently as that one individual leader, and they all picked different behaviors, they all had a little bit of a set of different beliefs and ways that we're thinking about it and customizing it for their organization. And again, this is an organization that's been around for 150 years. And they systematically, intentionally started changing their culture, getting rid of these limiting beliefs, moving past them. And again, very strategically saying, these are our new beliefs. These are the new ways we're going to behave. They made videos about this at the central level that encouraged other people to make videos about their own experiences of working and thinking in a new way. So don't think that this is something that's pie in the sky, hypothetical, theoretical to do. This is a very pragmatic thing that you can start doing right now. But it requires that you take the time to figure out what that limiting belief is and to be really committed and aligned with the people around you, even have them hold yourself accountable as a leader to exhibiting these new beliefs. So I think it's so important to think about what these beliefs are that you want to tackle personally. It could be around your need to control, your confidence in yourself, the limiting beliefs of your team and organization, fear. What is the underlying fear that you have to address? What are the areas around this belief that we don't have enough resources? By the way, the whole idea of resources, that's a red herring. That's a false actual belief, because you always have enough resources to do the job that you want to do. The question is, what is the job you want to do? Because you can always find the resources to do something that's important. And the question is usually when people say we don't have enough resources, The underlying issue is a lack of alignment among what we want to use those resources, those scarce resources to accomplish. Because you can accomplish so much with so little, but only if everybody is clear and aligned on what you want to get done. I do believe in the importance of ingenuity. Ingenuity happens when we don't have enough time, money, resources to get things done, and yet we must find a solution. We must find a way forward. And that's where ingenuity really becomes so important because we have fantastic resources. What will we apply it to? The problem. So that's what I have for today. I'm just going to check and make sure if we have um, the any questions or comments else that we have. I think again, Stephen, just great for your comments. I'm not going to put them on. There's too many on here, but I really appreciate the comments here. I just got another one from Ola Tamil Lehen. That false evidence appeals real. That's such a great point. That if you are thinking about the looking for the wrong metrics and finding evidence to support a limiting belief, the real evidence over here that could support a new belief that could move you forward may not be so evident. And then I love Joey. Thank you for chiming in here. Joey, I love this, that if I didn't worry about what others think, the possibilities are limitless. And so I'm just going to close on that and just wish you all the best thinking about your limiting beliefs and thinking about how you can move past those limits to be thinking about not what others think, not about what the risks are out there that may be real or not, but being able to be fully aware of what are the situations with yourself, your team, the industry, the competitive environments, to really understand what's really going on. Because if you can have that presence and awareness of what's really going on, if you're not being blocked by your limiting beliefs and you can be truly aware of what the truth is, then the truth will appear, the fear will go away. When you let go of the fear, the truth will appear, as I like to say. And then the possibilities are truly limitless. So all the best to you. I will speak to you next week. I don't have my topic completely worked out because I've had to reshuffle a few things in full transparency, but I will have figured it out over the next day or so. And so I'll talk to you all soon. And I would love to hear again from you about what those limiting beliefs are and how you're starting to overcome them. Please message me, connect with me. If you have any questions about this, I would love to hear back from you, how you're doing on addressing these limiting beliefs. Okay, take care, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.